Hi, my name's Daniel. This is your weekly market update where I give you the latest news on gold, silver, and Bitcoin. The latest news with Bitcoin is that over the past 5 days, we've seen it trying to push that 120k mark, and it's hit a resistance point recently, and it's fallen back down to as low as 111k before recovering back to the 114k mark. And the main reason why we saw this Bitcoin downturn was because the US economy was much stronger than expected, recording a 3% rate return in Q2 of the financial year, meaning that the US economy is actually going a lot better than expected, being fueled mostly by a reduction in imports as well as increased consumer spending. And as a result of that means Jerome Powell's had a reason to be able to hold rates for the time being, meaning there's still some confidence in the US dollar. And this, as a result, means alternate currencies such as Bitcoin, gold, and silver have slid back in the past week. So back to Bitcoin, it's generally pretty neutral what the considered stance is. You can see that oscillators are generally saying buy, the summary saying neutral, and the moving averages are at neutrals. Right now, we don't exactly know what the Fed's next move is, and the economy is in a very mixed situation with very mixed signals. So right now, Bitcoin's at this in-between phase where it's been going between 120 and 114k for the time being, and we're just waiting for some kind of signal to see where the next move is. With some people saying that Bitcoin could easily go quickly to 130 and they're very bullish, while other people are actually saying the opposite and they could easily drop down to 100k or go below back to that 90k mark. So signals mixed all around. Silver also having a pretty interesting experience as well, copying Bitcoin as well, with a downward trend as a result of the recent economic news. But as well as that, it's had some interesting news as well, with copper having a massive downturn, and that's basically fueled the silver market and made it have a downturn as well. And the news has been that copper basically in a very small period of time went downwards 18% in the space of a very small period of time, as the expected tariffs that were expected on copper from Donald Trump were basically turned the other way around. And we were expecting some form of supply constraints, which meant that copper prices would go up. And now we've found out news that this isn't going to happen. So it's sent copper prices back down. This has passed through to the silver market partially and made the prices go down. However, silver has recovered pretty well, back up to $37. The bulls are still in control in silver, and it's still a great opportunity to go now. Just consider it a short-term discount in this asset before it returns back to that $40 mark pretty quickly. And the pathway to $50 USD looks pretty inevitable. And then from there, once it hits that $50 USD mark, we don't know how far this thing can go. I've shown this in previous videos, which you can see on my channel. Please like and subscribe if you want to see all types of things on gold, silver, and Bitcoin. But I've explained that easily silver can hit triple-digit marks, as I've explained in my previous videos. Gold has shared a similar fate as well in the last 5 days as well. You saw that downturn that's happened here as a result of the recent economic news. But gold is a lot more stable. Its downturn hasn't been half as bad compared to Bitcoin and silver, showing how much more stable it is as a safe haven asset. And it doesn't really respond as much to the industrial matters that are happening in this world, showing just how much of a safety asset it is. And it's why a lot of the reserve banks and big investors are putting their wealth into this asset. And quickly, it also actually went up with news happening in the US. And that news being that the expected job creation was down from the US. There was about 70,000 new jobs created when the expected number was more like 130,000, I believe. And what this means is simply the market isn't as strong as we expect it to be, and gold has that reason to go up. And that's the news there. We've seen that the economy has just simply been lower than expected in the June and July period. And what this also means is now Jerome Powell's under pressure yet again to put these Fed rates down. I believe that eventually within this year, he's going to have no choice but to go back to the printing machine and lower these rates, which will eventually lead to the push that we'll see again in Bitcoin, gold, and silver. In this recap, I'll keep it very simple. Signals are mixed across the board. We don't know exactly what's happening. We're seeing in one way, the economy is doing better than expected, a 3% push upwards. But then also we're seeing a job market which is going backwards. And I've never seen an economy so much that's built on headlines. And when it's functioning on so much speculative news, it just means signals are so mixed across the board and we don't know what's going to happen. Bitcoin's still trading at that 114 to 120 mark, and there is potential it goes up or down, and signals are mixed, while silver and gold have a really clear pathway going forward. However, as I'll also show you in the USD clock, the fundamentals remain the same. At the end of the day, the fiat currency system is at a collapse. We can see the amount of national debt and amount of money outright that's being printed in order to fuel this economy. And like it or not, this is unsustainable. And that's why no matter what happens in the short term with these mixed signals, we know what's going to happen in the next 2, 5, and 10 years. Bitcoin, gold, and silver are going to be your key assets going forward as things begin to change. And like it or not, this little bubble here is going to pop eventually. This isn't financial advice, but I use history and I use economic cycles to be able to understand what's happening. So I'll leave you with this to think about and to understand what's happening. Do not be shaken by these short-term periods and what's going on. Just understand the fundamentals of what's going on. Do your research and understand what's going on. I hope you enjoyed this market update. If you want to see me put together my weekly market updates where I continue to show the latest news on Bitcoin, gold, silver, and other alternate cryptocurrencies, you can see in this channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.